Just 1 second. So, Hare Krishna to all of you. Welcome to today's session, the 5th of February. We are going through the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and we'll be covering a few more verses today. I think we will only complete this chapter in the next session. A lot of wonderful, important verses that are coming on in this section of Bhagavad Gita. So, we share the screen. We'll start with some opening prayers. It's called the Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahim Tadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Shakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This particular chapter has got 55 verses. We have till the last class covered up to verse number 42. We shall cover from there on Arjuna's prayers in 11 verses after he saw the Vishwarupa and he was completely flabbergasted by seeing the form of the Lord. And he's asking the Lord, who are you? Then the Lord is explaining who he is. And then Arjuna starts to pray without knowing who you are. Oh Krishna, I've been dealing with you in various ways, like a friend, as somebody, as an equal. We have sat together. We've been on the same bed together. We've played together. I have jokingly mentioned so many things to you many times, So Arjuna is therefore begging for forgiveness from Krishna here. So let's just start off with that verse and then we move on. He says, Sakheti matva prasabham yaduktam He Krishna, He Yadava, He Sakheti Ajanata mahimanam tavedam Maya pramadat pranayena vapi Yachava hasartam asatkritosi Vihara shayyasana bhojaneshu Ekotavapyachyuta tat samiksham Tat shamaye tvam aham aprameyam. Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you. Oh Krishna, not as Sri Krishna, dear Krishna. Krishna, sometimes in an ordering way. Yadava, oh my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times. Jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all those offenses. Because now Arjuna is trying to understand who God is. Now he did not mention one thing, Actually, even after knowing all this, where he says, hey Krishna, I'm addressing you as Krishna and Yadava and I did this and I did that. But even after that, when Krishna was still his chariot driver, Arjuna had to do many things. Because in the war, at that time, he doesn't have time to say, Krishna, move right, move left, nothing. If he had to direct and tell Krishna to move to the right, he sometimes kicks him on the right leg. Okay, and if he wants the chariot to move to the left, he kicks him on the left side. And then Krishna knows and immediately turns. Imagine how accommodating Krishna is. He's accepting all of us in all whatever frailties we have, whatever difficulties we have. But in spite of all that, we don't have time for Krishna. So here, Arjuna is really thinking, oh Krishna, I dealt with you like you're my equal. Then he comes to a stage where he says, please forgive me, oh Krishna. right? Earlier we saw that he was doing namaskar again and again, bhuya, bhuya. Now he's coming up and he's saying, let us start off. You can all repeat this verse after me. Pitasi lokasya characharasya
पितासि लोकस्य चराचरस्य
tvamasya pujyascha gururgariyan
त्वमस्य पूज्यस्य गुरुर्गरीयान्
natvat samosti
न त्वत्समोऽस्ति
abhyadikha kutonyo
अभ्यधिकः कुतोऽन्यो
कुतोऽन्यो
lokatrayepi
लोकत्रये
लोकत्रयोऽपि
apratima prabhava
अप्रतिमः प्रभाव
प्रभाव
Pita, the father, Asi, you are, Lokasya, of all the world, Chara, moving, Acharasya, and non-moving, Tvam, you are, Asya, of this, Pujaha, worshipable, Cha, also, Guru, master, Gariyan, glorious, Na, never, Tvatsama, equal to you, Asti, there is, Abhyadikaha, greater, Kutaha, how is it possible? Anyaha, other, Lokatraye, the three planetary systems, Api, also, Apratima Prabhava, oh immeasurable power. Prabhava is power and Apratima, immeasurable. You can't find out. And here he says, very interesting word here. He says, Lokasya, Pitaha, Pitasi Lokasya. You are the father of the entire universe. And not only of the entire universe, Chara, Acharasya, moving and non-moving. Then he says, you are most worshipable. And Gariyan, glorious. Twamsa, Twat Samaha. You are not equal to anyone. That is, you are above all. Krishna's one name is Asama Urdhva. Asama. He is never equal to anyone, and there can be nobody who is greater to Krishna. That's exactly what he is saying here. Let's get to the translation. You are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is greater than you, nor can anyone be one with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you within the three worlds, O Lord of immeasurable power? Apratima Prabhava. Can somebody read the purport? Slightly longer. Maybe we'll have two batches. Somebody can read. Yep. Okay. I will request somebody to stop and take on, but anybody?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I read
Yes,
Prabhu?
Kamala.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is worshipable as a father, is worshipable for his son. He is the spiritual master because he originally gave the Vedic instructions to Brahma, and presently he is also instructing Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Therefore, he is the original supreme master, and any bona fide spiritual master at the present moment must be a descendant in the line of disciplic succession stemming from Krishna. Without being a representative of Krishna, one cannot become a teacher or spiritual master of transcendental subject matter.
I'll just
The
pause you
law-
here.
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
this itself is wonderful. He says, as you know, Krishna is worshipable, like how a son can worship the father, how the father is worshipable for the son, for the children, like that, because Krishna is father of all of us. He's worshipable, and he is the original spiritual master, and he gave to Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye, he is called Adi Kavi. He gave first all knowledge to Brahma. That's the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Janmadhyasya anvayat itaratsasarche swabhignya swarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yat Suraya Tene Brahma Hridaya. And he imparted the Vedic knowledge to Brahma. Then he says, and now he is instructing Arjuna, and therefore, given to Arjuna, he is the original spiritual master, and because through Arjuna we get it, we are all in that descendant. So, what it says is Sampradaya means it begins from Krishna, because Krishna is the instructing master for Brahma. So, from that particular angle, Krishna is the supreme guru for everybody. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum, as we say. Then he talks about line in the disciplic succession, that is called the parampara system. So it says all the paramparas should start from Krishna. That's an important aspect. Without being a representative of Krishna, one cannot become a teacher or spiritual master of transcendental subject matter. So that's the first position of a guru, that he has to come from the lineage of Krishna, is what Srila Prabhupada writes here. Go ahead, Komalaji.
The Lord is being paid obeisances in all respects. He is of immeasurable greatness. No one can be greater than the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, because no one is equal to or higher than Krishna within any manifestation, spiritual or material. Everyone is below him. No one can excel him. This is stated in the Svetashvatara Upanishad 6.8. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate natat samaschabhyadikascha drishyate. Prabhu, can you move little up?
Okay. So the meaning of this is no one can excel him. Na tasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. And therefore he has got no other activity to do. Na tat samas. And there's nobody equal. Shamaha, samaha, samaha, saman. Unke saman koi nahi hai. Cha abhyadikascha drishtiye. And nobody else can be greater than him, as I mentioned. Okay. Please go ahead. You can finish this paragraph.
Yes, Prabhu. The Supreme Lord Krishna has senses and a body like the ordinary man. But for him, there is no difference between his senses, his body, his mind, and himself. Foolish people who do not perfectly know him say that Krishna is different from his soul, mind, heart, and everything else. Krishna is absolute. Therefore, his activities and potencies are supreme. It is also stated that although he does not have senses like ours, he can perform all sensory activities. Therefore, his senses are neither imperfect nor limited. No one can be greater than him, no one can be equal to him, and everyone is lower than him. Thank you.
This is the
Prabhu.
first understanding that we need to have. So many times we say, oh, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva are all in the same platform. But the fact that Shastras indicate very clearly, Asa Maur Dua, that there's nobody greater. So those words cannot go wrong. So now also what it says is Krishna, though he appears like an ordinary man, he seems to have an ordinary, like a body, but many people think that there's no difference therefore. But the fact is that Krishna is very unique, and he is not, and he is not different from his soul, mind, heart, everyone. He can do everything with every organ of his. He is absolute. Therefore, if we worship Krishna, we can go back to Krishna. Okay? And then also, Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. With one anga, he can perform activities of all the other angas, Brahma Samhita says. And therefore, no one can be greater than him. No one can be equal to him, leave alone greater than him. And the clear fact is, everyone is lower than him. Jivera Swarupahoy Nityera Krishnadas. And leave alone the gods and demigods. What about all of us as mere jivas? We are definitely servants of Krishna, and we have to once we realize that we are servants of the Lord, then we are in the right position. So somebody else can now read from here, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, should I take it?
Yes, Umesh.
The knowledge, strength, and activities of the Supreme Personality are all transcendental, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvatha. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti so Arjuna. Whoever knows Krishna's transcendental body, activities, and perfection after quitting his body returns to him and does not come back again to this miserable world. Therefore, one should know that Krishna's activities are different from others. The best policy is to follow the principles of Krishna that will make one perfect. It is also stated that there is no one who is master of Krishna. Everyone is a servant. The Chaitanya Charitamrit Adi 5.142 confirm Ekla Ishvara Krishna Arasabha Bhartiya. Only Krishna is God and everyone else is his servant. Everyone is complying with his order. There is no one who can deny his order. Everyone is acting according to his direction, being under his superintendence as stated in the Brahma Samhita. He is the cause of all causes. Hare Krishna.
Sarva Karana Karanam, cause of all causes, we briefly discussed. But very beautiful, this shloka we have already covered. Janma Karma Chame Divyam. If we only Evam Yo Veti means is to know. In truth, if we know Tattvata, this Tattva, that Krishna's Janma and Krishna's Karma are Divya. He is not bound like any one of us, bound to karma. And his activities are also very unique. If only we even know this, then what happens? Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti. If we leave this body, we do not have punarjanma. Punarjanma naiti. And what happens to them? Mam eti. They come to me. Hey Arjuna, tyaktva deham. When you leave this body, tyaktva, tyajan, deham, punarjanma naiti, will not have repeated birth and death. That is why we say going back home, back to Godhead. What is the destination? We don't want a destination of heaven. And I'm sure because we are somewhere connected to Krishna, our destination is never going to be hell. But let us not think, oh, Swargaloka Prapti. No. We should understand the Janma and the Karma of Krishna. And if we understand that, Krishna promises that when you leave this particular body, you will not have repeated birth. For such a person, if we just know what his activities and what his birth is, just by knowing that, we will not have rebirth. How can we classify Krishna as another human being who has normal senses and born like any one of us? That's the foolishness of people when they do not understand. And they say Krishna is just another normal man, was a cowherd boy only. They do not understand in truth who Krishna is. So this is a very, very important bit. And that's where it's being expanded here to say that Ekale Ishvara Krishna. We say Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam, Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva, right? Here he says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Ekale Ishvare Krishna. There's only one Ishvara, only one controller. Ara, or, sub, Bhritya. Bhritya means a servant. Kulashekara Alvar writes, Bhrityasya Bhritya Itimam Smaralokanatha. I'm not just even directly servant of Krishna. I'm the servant of 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 Krishna. So let us not even think, oh, I am a servant of Krishna. No. Like for instance, those who are directly serving Narendra Modi may be very proud that he's a direct personal assistant of Narendra Modi, right? But, if we have to serve the servant of the servant of the servant, and that's why it's very important for us to serve Guru and serve Vaishnavas. But we all have to understand that we are servants and there can be only one master, and that master is Krishna. And everyone is complying with his order, whether they are thinking they are complying or not. They are forced to comply with his order because he wields the power. He is time, kalosmi. He takes away people in the form of death. He gives them what they have to get. And so whether you like it or not, whether you accept Krishna or not, he is the master. We don't need to accept. Oh, I don't accept that Narendra Modi is Prime Minister. You accept him or not. He is the Prime Minister of the Constitution. There are many who don't like Trump. But when he was the president, he was to be accepted. Trump himself doesn't like Joe Biden. But Joe Biden is the president. So it is not under your control. But those are just very common examples. But when it comes to Krishna, Krishna is time, Krishna is everything for us. So every one of us are complying with his order. And we can never deny his order. But if we act knowing this, if we act positively and accept his order, then we'll be in the rightful position. If we do not, and we are looking against, and we are trying to enjoy, away from him, or we are trying to, not give him his position as a master, then, we are nowhere. Therefore, it says Krishna is Sarva Karana Karanam. So it's a very, very important purport. That's why I wanted to pause for that. Let's just get on into verse number 43. Okay, let us finish 44 and then come up to this presentation. Let's go to the next. Tasmat pranamya paridhaya kayam
तस्मात् प्रणम्य
प्रणम्य
परिहाय
परिहाय
prasadaye tvam ahamishamidhyam
प्रसादये त्वाम् अहर्षमीड्यम्
piteva putrasya sakeva sakyuh
पितेव
तस्य सखेव सख्यु
priya priyaryarhasi edheva sodhum.
प्रिया
प्रियार्हसि देव सोढुम्.
I will just repeat the verse once myself. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadaye tvam ahamishamidhyam piteva putrasya sakheva sakyuh priya priyaryarhasi deva sodhum. Tasmat, therefore, pranamya, offering obeisances, pranidhaya, laying down, kayam, body, mano, kaya, vacha, we say. Kaya means the body. Yeah? Pranidaya, completely laying down and doing full namaskaram. Then, prasadaye, prasad means mercy. I'm begging for mercy. I'm now doing namaskar to you, Krishna. I'm now begging your mercy. Tvam, unto you. Aham, I. Unto you, who are you? Isham, you are the Isha, the controller. Idhyam, and you are worshipable. And then Pita eva, you are worshipable like a father. Like for whom? Putrasya, with a son. Sakhaiva, like a friend. Sakyuhu, with a friend. Priyaha, a lover. Priyayaha, with the dearmost. Arhasi, you should. Deva, my Lord. Sodhum, tolerate. You are the Supreme Lord to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. As a father tolerates the impudence of his son, a friend the impertinence of a friend, or a husband the familiarity of his wife, please tolerate the wrongs I may have done to you. Earlier also, when he saw the Vishwarupa form, he said, all the devotees, the sadhu, are all worshipping you. But then he is saying, it is foolish on the part of the other non-devotees who are not worshipping you. So here he is saying again, you are to be worshipped by every living being. Therefore I offer my namaskar to you again and again. And please tolerate me, like 3 examples, like a father tolerates his son. Son may sometimes not hear the father. And sometimes he may use some wrong words. We normally say that when the child is very small, the father is the biggest hero for the child. And as he is growing, and he comes to teenage, he thinks, oh, my father does not understand. He's a little old-fashioned. And when he becomes big, when he becomes of, say, 20 to 30, he thinks, my father is not capable enough. He didn't do something. He could have done so much. He could have done so many things. He could have bought 1 piece of land for me and I would have been so rich now. He would have done that for me. He does not think about how to thank his father for what his father gave him. But then later when he starts to become a father, he is enjoying it for some time, 30, 40. When he is 45 and his sons become teenagers, then he starts to realize, oh, this is what I did. My sons are not hearing what I say. So then only they understand it. So everybody thinks like that, at a particular stage, the children are impudent. and they do not hear what the father and mother say, because the father and mother unconditionally show love to the children. And similarly is the case of a friend. And when we say friend or a sakha, sometimes the other friend may not deal with us properly. Like Arjuna is saying, oh Krishna, I did not deal with you properly. Sometimes we do some things that can hurt a friend. It will hurt a normal person, a friend tolerates it. And similar is the case between a husband and a wife too. The wife takes liberty, the husband takes liberty, right? And so the only thing is, in the olden days, the wife will take liberty with the husband only in private. But these days, sometimes the wives take liberty in public. So there are differences in culture and how things happen. So here he says familiarity of a wife as how a husband agrees. And let us say in the modern parlance that the familiarity and the tolerance and the acceptance has to be from both the spouses. Both the wife has to tolerate the husband and the husband has to tolerate the wife. Or they have to compromise. Let us say tolerance. Sometimes they say, tolerance. Tolerance means something that is happening that I don't like, but I tolerate it because I just can't do anything about it. No, let us respect each other's sentiments here. So let us not just use the word tolerance here in this particular way. But here, Arjuna says, please tolerate for the wrongs I may have done to you. Somebody can read the purport. It's a small one.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Krishna devotees relate to Krishna in various relationships. One might treat Krishna as a son, or one might treat Krishna as a husband, as a friend, or as a master. Krishna and Arjuna are related in friendship. As the father tolerates, or the husband or a master tolerates, so Krishna tolerates. Hare Krishna.
So here in this presentation, thank you. So Arjuna is begging forgiveness. And he says, hey Krishna, you're the supreme spiritual master. You gave the knowledge to Brahma. And now you're going to give it to me. You're already given it to me. You are the supreme father. And you are the greatest. No one is greater than or equal to you. Then, and there is a whole range of verses quoted here in the scriptures. There's no difference between Krishna's body and self. Senses are interchangeable of Krishna. Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. Pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti. So, the birth and activities, janma karma cha me divyam. The birth and activities are transcendental. Krishna is one God. Ekale Ishware Krishna ara sabha bhritya. Then, sarva karana karanam, cause of all causes. These are all the small parts of the shloka that we should all remember. Asam or dua. Nobody is equal to or greater than you. Sarva karana karanam, cause of all causes. Ekale Ishware Krishna ara sabha bhritya. Krishna is one God. These are important phrases to remember. As we talk about Bhagavad Gita, we can use these phrases. Then Arjuna is now falling to the ground and begs of mercy and requests him to tolerate all the wrongdoings, like a father tolerates the impudence of his son, the friend of his friend, and the wife familiarity of a partner. All right? Then let us get to verse number 45. Adrishtapurvam
Adrishtapurvam
Hrishitosmi drishtva
Rishitosmi drishta
Just
ayena cha
Ayena
ayena cha
pravyatitam mano me.
Pravyatitam
pravyatitam mano me
Tadeva me darshaya
Tadeva
eva me darshaya
eva rupam
deva rupam
prasida devesha jagannivasa.
prasida devesha jagannivasa.
I will just chant the shloka here. Adrishtapurvam hrisitosmi drishtva bhayena cha pravyatitham mano me tadeva me darshaya deva rupam Prasida Devesha Jagannivasa. Adrishta Purvam, never seen before. Adrishta, Drishtva, Drishta means is to see. Adrishta, Purvam means in the past. Adrishta Purvam, Hrishitaha, gladdened. Asmi, I am. Hasna, we say no, is happiness. Hrishitaha is gladdened. Asmi, I am. Drishtva, by seeing you. Dekna, bhayena, out of fear. Cha, also. Pravyatitam, perturbed. Manaha, mind. Me, my. Tat, that. Eva, certainly. Me, unto me. Darshaya, show. Deva, O Lord. Rupam, the form. Prasida, just be gracious. Like prasada, prasida, show your mercy. Deva Esha, O Lord of Lords. Jagannivasa, O refuge of the universe. After seeing this universal form, which I've never seen before, I'm gladdened. But at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. Now he's again asking the Lord to show him a form. Then let's get to the purport, please. Anybody?
I can go ahead.
Please, Ashish.
Arjuna is always in confidence with Krishna because he is very dear friend. And as a dear friend is gladdened by his friend's opulence, Arjuna is very joyful to see that his friend Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and can show such a wonderful universal form. But at the same time, after seeing that universal form, he is afraid that he has committed so many offenses to Krishna out of his unalloyed friendship. Thus, his mind is disturbed out of fear, although he had no reason to fear. Arjuna therefore is asking Krishna to show his Narayana form because he can assume any form. This universal form is material and temporary, as the material world is temporary. But in the Vaikuntha planets, he has his transcendental form with 4 hands as Narayana. There are innumerable planets in the spiritual sky, and in each of them, Krishna is present by his plenary manifestations of different names. Thus, Arjuna desired to see one of the forms manifested in the Vaikuntha planets. Of course, in each Vaikuntha planet, the form of Narayana is 4-handed, but the 4 hands hold different arrangements of symbols: the conch shell, mace, lotus, and disc. According to the different hands, these 4 things are held in. The Narayanas are variously named. All of these forms are one with Krishna. Therefore, Arjuna requests to see his 4-handed feature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And he asks it in the next verse very clearly. So I'll just read some bit from Baladev Vidyabhushan, from Vishwanath Chakravarti's commentary. Though I am delighted having seen your body composed of the form of the universe which has been previously seen, my mind is distressed with fear because of its ferocity. Therefore, show me that form, Tadeva Rupa, the form of the son of Vasudeva, the form of sweetness, which is millions of times dearer to my life. Show favor to me. Do not display me the form of great power any longer. I have now seen you as Lord of the Devatas, Devesha, and the resting place of the universe, Jagannivasa. It should be understood that Arjuna did not see the body of Krishna in human form, which was the origin of all the forms seen by Arjuna. When Krishna displayed the universal form, because his vision was covered by Yoga Maya. Now, let's get to the next verse. Kiritinam, let me see whether, let's just cover this again. I will just cover this particular slide and then we go to the next. Now, Arjuna is requesting Krishna to withdraw the fearful form and reveal the personality of Godhead. Krishna can assume any form. And he is asked here to show his four-handed form as a Narayana form. So Krishna later shows the four-handed form. You will see that. And indicates that Arjuna is afraid and joyful simultaneously. Joyful because he knows that Krishna is his friend and Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And afraid because of so many offenses he committed. And what is also mentioned here, the different Narayanas are all expansions of Krishna, and they appear in different places and in different planets in different ways. Okay, that's the mention that is coming here. Let's get to verse number 46. Kiritinam Gadinam Chakrahastam
Kirinam
Karinam chakrahastam
Tam
Ichchami Tvam Drashtumaham Tathaiva
Ichchami tvam drashtum aham tataiva
Tenaiva Rupena Chaturbhujena
Rupena chaturvujena
Sahasrabaho Bhava Vishwamurte.
Sahasrabaho Bhava Vishwamurte.
I'll just chant this verse once. Hear me. Kiritinam Gadinam Chakrahastam Ichchami Tvam Drashtumaham Tataiva Tenaiva Rupena Chaturbhujena Sahasrabaho Bhava Vishwamurte. Kiritanam with helmet, Gadinam with club, Chakrahastam, disc in hand, Ichchami, I wish, Tvam, you, Drashtum, to see, Aham, I, Tathaeva, in that position, Teneva, in that, Rupena, form, Chaturbhujena, four-handed, Sahasrabaho, O thousand-handed one, Bhava, just become, Vishwamurte, O universal form. Right now you are showing me your form of Vishwarupa, Sahasrabaho, with thousands of hands. But please come to Chaturbhuj form, where the Lord is having, the Kiriti, but in his four hands he's having Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. So please come in that particular form. The Kirita, in the Vishnu form he wears a Kirita. In the Krishna form he is just wearing a peacock feather sometime. Simple helmets or crown made of flowers. Okay, but in the Vishnu form he comes royally in the Aishwarya Rupa. So then he says, O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with a club, wheel, conch and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. He's getting a good discount now. In between the Vishwarupa and the original form of Krishna. Till there we will go today. Let us see. Somebody can read the purport.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, we.
In the Brahma Samhita 5.39, it is stated, Ramadi
Murtishu
Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tishtan.
Tishtan.
The Lord is eternally situated in hundreds and thousands of forms. And the main forms are those like Rama, Narasimha, Narayana, etc. There are innumerable forms. But Arjuna knew that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, assuming his temporary universal form. He is now asking to see the form of Narayana in spiritual form. This verse establishes without any doubt the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and all other features originate from him. He is not different from his plenary expansions, and he is God in any of his innumerable forms. In all of these forms, he is fresh like a young man. That is the constant feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who knows Krishna becomes free at once from all contamination of the material world. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Veena. So, very clearly, it says that the Lord is situated in hundreds and thousands of forms. And some of these big forms, the main forms, are like Rama, Narsimha, Narayana. Now there is a confusion. There are many who say Narayana and Vishnu is supreme. But if you see in this form, from Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada says, from the Vishwarupa form, the 400 form comes, and the Vishwarupa is in the 400 form, and the 400 form is in the 200 form of Krishna. And that is why he says Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, because Krishna's expansion is the 400 form, and the expansion of that 400 form is the Vishwarupa form. You see how it comes? In my purse, if I have 1,000 dirham, I can give you 10 dirhams, 500 dirhams, 900 dirhams, and 1,000 dirhams. So, the two-handed form of Krishna contains within it the four-armed form of Vishnu, as well as the Sahasra Bahu form of the Vishwarupa. That's the point that's being made here. And there are so many innumerable forms. But while Krishna is doing everything, he is called Nava Yauvana. He's always looking young, youthful form. And that is the constant feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna never, do you see, Krishna was supposed to have been at the time of the battlefield, at the battle Kurukshetra, he was supposed to be 120 years of age. But he always looked like he was 16. He's called Nava Yauvana. Right? So many times people have conception of God as somebody who is an old man, who has a big white beard and things like that. But let us understand that Krishna is eternally young. Nava Yauvana. Yeah? That is the constant feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let's get to this. So Arjuna wants to see the four-armed form. Now if you see here, there's a beautiful chart. And this beautiful chart is talking about these various forms. You see Krishna here. Then you see the various forms of Vishnu, which are the Karnodakashayi Vishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, Shirodakashayi Vishnu, etc. And then you have the Chaturbhuj Mahavishnu. These three types of Vishnu are all here. Then you have the Kumaras. Then you have various incarnations as Varaha, Narsimha, Vamana, etc. Then you have Shivas and Brahma here. Then you have Narada here. You have Naranarayana Rishis here. Then you have people like Jadabharata here. You have the Mohini Rupa here. Yeah. So this is showing all these various forms. Then you have Prutu. Then you have the Matsya Rupa. Then you have the Dhanvantari form. Then this is Matsya Rupa here. And all of these are shown. He's also Vyasadev. He's also Parashurama, Vamana, Narasimha, Rama. Then he also comes as Krishna and Balaram. And this is a picture of the Lord who is formless in this part of the world, which they do not attribute any form to him, but he is also coming from the same. You have Buddha, you have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jesus carrying a Bible, Kalki. It's an amazing picture of the Lord's incarnations and how he comes. But the source is marked as Krishna. So Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the source of all forms and incarnations. And he is the constant feature in all these forms. He is constantly present in all of these forms. He is God of his innumerable forms. He is non-different from his plenary expansions. He is always fresh like a young man. Now we move to the next section. And we may cover maybe a few verses of it. We may not cover the full thing. Let us see. In this section, pure devotees can see Krishna's two-armed form. Many others may see the other forms. But to see the two-armed form of Krishna, you need to be a pure devotee. Verses 47 and 48, Arjuna is requesting, please come back to your beautiful form. And then Krishna, after Krishna withdraws the universal form, and then Krishna now shows him the four-armed form, and then finally Arjuna says, please come to your Saumya Vapu, beautiful form. And Krishna then comes down to the two-armed form, and Krishna's two-armed form can be directly seen only through pure, undivided devotional service. Krishna says, Bhaktya tu ananya shaktya, Jnatum drashtum parantapa. So a very beautiful verse that comes in here. Jnatum drashtum cha tattvena praveshtum cha parantapa. Somebody who has to understand, then he has to bhakti. Bhaktya tu ananyaya shaktya. Only by bhakti, undivided, ananyaya shaktya. Aham evam vido Arjuna. Vido means I can be understood. Jnatum, I can be known. Drashtum, I can be seen. Cha tattvena, in actual in the real form I can be understood. Praveshtum, and I'll be personally present, and he can come to my place. Praveshtum cha parantapa. Hey Arjuna. Arjuna's name is Parantapa. Beautiful verses. And the reason why we spend the time in every word to word here is, as you learn the important words, you learn Sanskrit, and you'll be able to just, by reading the Sanskrit, you'll be able to see it, and by reading English, you'll be able to think of Sanskrit, etc. It's very important for all of us to do this and spend and deliberate on. Today I was hearing Narendra Modi ji's lecture at the inauguration, where along with Chinna Jia, he was speaking. Narendra Modi was also speaking so profusely, quoting from various verses from the Shastras. Amazing. And of course, Chinna Jia is such a wonderful personality. He spoke so well. He was so honorable to even glorify Narendra Modi. He even compared Narendra Modi to some extent to Ramanujacharya. But then it is very, very important that all of us learn Sanskrit. Let's move on to verse number 47 right now. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Bhagavan
Maya Prasannena Tavarjunedam
Maya
Prasannena Tavarjunedam
Rupam Param Darshitam Atma Yogat
Rupam Param
Darshitam
Tejomayam Vishwamanantamadhyam
Tejomayam Vishwamanantamadyam
Yanme Twadanyena Na Drishtapurvam. I will chant the verse, just read it, just hear. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Prasannena Tavarjunedam Rupam Param Darshitam Atma Yogat Tejomayam Vishwamanantamadhyam Yanme Twadanyena Na Drishtapurvam. These long verses are very rhythmic as you chant. They are not easy to memorize, but very important verses here. We heard 11 shlokas that Arjuna chanted, and now the Lord is talking. And then, of course, the Lord is showing him a different form. Let's get to that. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, said, Maya, by me, prasannena, happily, I'm very happy. Arjuna, at what you have asked me, I'm very happy. Tava, unto you, Arjuna, I'm very happy about you, Arjuna. Idam, this, rupam, form, param, transcendental, darshitam, shown, atma yogat, by my internal potency, teja mayam, full of effulgence, vishwam, the entire universe, anantam, unlimited, adyam, original, yat, that which, may, my, tvatanyena, besides you, na drishta purvam, no one has previously seen this Vishwarupa form. Hey Arjuna, you are a rare person, I'm showing it to you. Because I'm happy I've shown it to you. And I'm not only showing you the Vishwarupa form, I'm also showing you the four-arm form. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you by my internal potency, the supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence. Now, as we started the 11th chapter, I said that there were 5 instances of showing the Vishwarupa, but none of those were equal to this complete form of showing the Vishwarupa form that Arjuna has seen. That's why Krishna says, Tvat anyena na drishta purvam. Besides you, nobody has seen it before. Na Vidur, na Deva, na Danava, no Devas, nobody has seen it before. Earlier, Krishna is also mentioning it. Somebody can read the purport, please.
Arjuna wanted to see the universal form of Supreme Lord. So Lord Krishna, out of his mercy upon his devotee Arjuna, showed his universal form, full of effulgence and opulence. This form was glaring like the sun, and its many faces were rapidly changing. Krishna showed this form just to satisfy the desire of his friend Arjuna. This form was manifested by Krishna through his internal potency, which is unconceivable by human speculation. No one has seen this universal form of the Lord before.
Just 1 second. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
No one has seen this form
Yeah, you are here.
But because the sorry, no
Please
one has
start
seen
again.
this
No
universal
one?
form of Lord before Arjuna, but because the form was shown to Arjuna, other devotees in the heavenly planets and in other planets in outer space could also see it. They had not seen it before, but because of Arjuna, they were
Go ahead.
able to see it. In other words, all the devotees of the Lord cannot see the universal form,
Could see the universal form.
could see the in other words, all the disciples or all the disciplic devotees of the Lord could see the universal form which was shown to Arjuna by the mercy of Krishna. Someone has commented that this form was shown to Duryodhana also when Krishna went to Duryodhana to negotiate for peace. Unfortunately, Duryodhana did not accept the peace offer, but at that time Krishna manifested some of his universal forms, but those forms are different from this one shown to Arjuna. It is clearly said that no one had ever seen this form before. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So that's the universal form. Krishna fulfills Arjuna's desire of showing the universal form merely because he was happy with Arjuna. And he's showing it by his internal potency. Krishna says, I have the potency through my internal potency, through my Shakti, through my divine potency. I'm showing it to you because, this is inconceivable. Nobody ever can even see it. I'm giving you even Divyam Dadamite Chakshuhu. I'm even giving you eyes with which you can see this form because otherwise you can't see it. Like normally you say you can't see it. You can't see even the solar eclipse with your normal eyes. It can affect you, right? And if just you're driving a car, the sun is coming in front, you can't see. And how can you see a divine form? Only by the mercy of the Lord. So Krishna gives this capability to Arjuna to see this divine form. And then Krishna says, happily by my desire, because no one had ever seen it before. Now, all disciplic devotees, anybody who comes in the parampara, will have an opportunity to see the form of the Lord as what he's seeing. So when Arjuna was seeing it, all those who were favorable, all the gods, demigods from the heavenly planets were also simultaneously seeing when Arjuna was seeing it, but Krishna is first showing it to Arjuna. So the forms shown to Duryodhana, etc., were not complete forms, they were incomplete forms. We covered that. Let's get to verse number 48. Naveda yajna
Navedayajna
adhyayanai nadanaihi
Adhyayanaina
Datanai
nachakriyabihi
Nachakriyavi
Kriyabihi
natapobirugraihi
Natapovirukai
Natapovirugraihi
evam rupa
Evam
Evam Rupa
sakya aham nriloke shakya
Sakya Aham Loke
drishtum twadanyena
Drishtum
Tvadenyena
kuru pravira.
Guru
Pravira
Pravira
No, never. I read the Sanskrit. Na veda yajnadhyayaner na dhaner na chakriyabir na tapo virugraihi evam rupa shakyaham nruloke drishtum twadanyena kuru pravira. Na, never. Veda yajna, by sacrifice, adhyayanahi, or Vedic studies. Na, never. Danehi, by charity. Na, never. Cha, also. Kriyabihi, by pious activities. Na, never. Tapobihi, by serious penances. Ugraihi, severe. Evam rupaha, in this form. Sakyaha, can. Aham, I. Riloke, in this material world. Drashtum, be seen. Tvat, than you. Anyena, by another. Kurupravira, O best among Kuru warriors. Krishna already told him that nobody has seen it before. He's expanding on it here. That, the significance of what Arjuna is seeing. O best of the Kuru warriors, Kuru Pravira. No one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine. For neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances Can I be seen in this form in this material world? This is where we say we need the mercy of Krishna. Krishna can reveal himself. It's called revelation. If Krishna wants, he can reveal to you. By your own capacity of studying the Veda, performing sacrifices, doing this, that, you can't achieve him. You need the revelation. You need Krishna to be merciful. He needs to be happy. He needs to be happy. He will be happy when you are pleasing his devotees. That is the purpose when we worship the Guru, when we worship Radharani, when we worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna gets pleased. Therefore, that is the path to go. Not, you can't claim the right of seeing these forms of Krishna merely by studying by the strength of the Vedas or by performing sacrifices, charity, pious activities, penances. Anybody can read the purport, please.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
The divine vision in this connection should be clearly understood. Who can have divine vision? Divine means godly. Unless one attains the status of divinity as a demigod, he cannot have divine vision. And what is a demigod? It is stated in the Vedic scriptures that those who are devotees of Lord Vishnu are demigods. Vishnu Bhakta Smrita Daiva. Those who are aesthetic, that is, who do not believe, atheistic, who do not believe in Vishnu, or who recognize only the impersonal part of Krishna as the supreme, cannot have the divine vision. It is not possible to decry Krishna and at the same time have the divine vision. One cannot have the divine vision without becoming divine. In other words, those who have divine vision can also see like Arjuna. The Bhagavad Gita gives the description of the universal form. Although this description was unknown to everyone before Arjuna, now one can have some idea of the Vishwarupa after this incident. Those who are actually divine can see the universal form of the Lord, but one cannot be divine without being pure devotee of Krishna. The devotees, however, who are actually in the divine nature and who have divine vision are not very much interested in seeing the universal form of the Lord. As described in the previous verse, Arjuna desired to see the four-handed form of Lord Krishna as Vishnu, and he was actually afraid of the universal form. In this verse, there are some significant words, just like Veda Yajna Dhyayanaihi, which refers to Veda Yajna Adhyayanaihi, which refers to studying Vedic literature and the subject matter of sacrificial regulations. Veda refers to all kinds of Vedic literature, such as the four Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva, and the 18 Puranas, the Upanishads, and the Vedanta Sutra. One can study these at home or anywhere else. Similarly, there are sutras, Kalpa Sutras, and Mimamsa Sutras are studying in the method of sacrifice. Danya refers to charity. Dana refers to charity, which is offered to the suitable party, such as those who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. Similarly, pious activities refers to the Agnihotra and the prescribed duties of the different castes, and the voluntary acceptance of some bodily pains is called tapasya. So one can perform all these, can accept bodily penances, give charity, study the Vedas, etc. But unless he is devotee like Arjuna, it is not possible to see that universal form. Those who are impersonalities are also imagining that they are seeing the universal form of the Lord. But from Bhagavad Gita, we understand that the impersonalists are not devotees. Therefore, they are unable to see the universal form. There are many persons who create incarnations. They falsely claim an ordinary human to be an incarnation. but this is all foolishness. We should follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, there is no possibility of attaining perfect spiritual knowledge. Although Bhagavad Gita is considered the preliminary study of the science of God, still it is so perfect that it enables one to distinguish what is what. The followers of a pseudo incarnation may say that they have also seen the transcendental incarnation of the God, the universal form, but that is unacceptable because it is clearly stated here that unless one becomes a devotee of Krishna, one cannot see the universal form of the God. So one, first of all, has to become a pure devotee of Krishna. Then he can claim that he can show the universal form of what he has seen. A devotee of Krishna cannot accept false incarnations or followers of false incarnations. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This is a very powerful purport. I just go on just to say the divine vision comes, he says, divine vision comes only when you are empowered and you are a follower of Vishnu or Krishna, is what he is saying here in the first paragraph. Then he says the Bhagavad Gita gives the description of the universal form. And, though some people can have an idea about what Vishwarupa is and what universal form is, but they will not have an idea of who is, unless they know about Krishna, they will not have the real supreme or divine vision, is very clearly also brought about. Then he again reiterates that, the Veda is very large, it encompasses everything, but even knowing that Veda Adhyayanam, by Veda Adhyayanam also you will not achieve perfection. By doing all the sutras and all the, knowing all the methods of worship by charity, etc. And charity should be even given to the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. Even then, similarly, Agni Hotra and other activities, tapasya, whatever you do, you may not achieve that until, you are, and there he is again picking up on the impersonalists, those who do not recognize Krishna as a form and they only look at the impersonal form of Krishna to understand sometimes. They only look at the impersonal form. They do not even think that it's the impersonal form of Krishna. And so those people, he says, are very difficult for them to also come to this platform. And Krishna says, even in the 4th chapter, he says, oh Krishna, oh Arjuna, I'm giving you this confidential knowledge only because you are my devotee and my friend. He says that. So that is very important. We have to be a bhakta in Bhakti Yoga. The importance of Bhakti Yoga comes here. Then there are many people, here he talks and hits out against incarnations. We need to be very, very careful because sometimes we just accept somebody who claims himself to be an incarnation with no shastric evidence that he is in any way an incarnation. And so Srila Prabhupada says here, don't follow neither these incarnations or don't follow the followers of those except of these incarnations. We need to be very careful that we understand who Krishna is. And when you have the original Krishna to worship, why do you need to go and worship after imitation? When you have the original brand with you, why do you want for a Chinese made brand? Yeah. So that's in short what is mentioned here in verse 48. It's a very, very long topic, but let us see how it is summarized here. So who can have this divine vision? Only godly souls, that is devotees or those who are blessed by Krishna, can have this divine vision. Because of happiness, Krishna can give it to them. And other qualifications are insufficient. Veda Yajna, Adhyayana, Dana, Kriyavihi, and the impersonalists. And so, and atheists who do not believe in Vishnu or impersonal form of the Lord, therefore they cannot have a vision of the Lord. So it's a very, very important verse that's coming here. Let's move to verse number 49. Mate vyata ma
Yate
cha vimudha bhavo
Vimudabhavo
drishtva rupam
Drishtva
ghoramidrin mamedam vyapetabi
Etabi
Pritamana punastvam
प्रीतमनानस्त्वम्
तदेव मे रूपम्
तदेव मे रूपम्
इदं प्रपश्य.
इदं प्रपश्य.
So let me chant this verse again. माते व्यता मा च विमूढभावो दृष्ट्वा रूपं घोरमिदृन्ममेदं व्यपेतभिः प्रीतमनः पुनस्त्वं तदेव मे रूपमिदं प्रपश्य. Ma, let it not be te unto you vyatha, trouble. Ma, let it not be cha, also vimuda bhavaha, bewilderment. Drishtva, by seeing, rupam, form, goram, horrible, goram. And this, we say, even in English we say gory. Right? And
Yes,
in Tamil we say goram. The subject, the Sanskrit word comes in various languages. Many of these things, may, my, all these are coming, tat, that, are all coming from Sanskrit as a root, if you are really seeing it, into various languages. Let it be into Hindi, for sure, even languages like Tamil, etc. Goram, horrible. Idrik, as it is. Mama, my, idam, this. Vyapeta bihi, free from all fear. Pritamanaha, pleased in mind. Punaha, again. Tvam, you. Tat, that. Eva, thus. Me, my. Rupam, form. Idam, this. Prapashya, just see. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Krishna himself is saying it's a horrible feature here, right? And Arjuna also said that before. Now, let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can see the form you desire. You can now see the form you desire. Can somebody read the purport, please?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Umesh.
In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was worried about killing Bhishma and Drona, his worshipful grandfather and master, but Krishna said that he need not be afraid of killing his grandfather. When the sons of Dhritarashtra tried to disrobe Draupadi in the assembly of the Kurus, Bhishma and Drona were silent, and for such negligence of duty they should be killed. Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna just to show him that these people were already killed for their unlawful action. That scene was shown to Arjuna because devotees are always peaceful and they cannot perform such horrible actions. The purpose of the revelation of the universal form was shown. Now Arjuna wanted to see the four-armed form and Krishna showed him. A devotee is not such interested in the universal form, for it does not enable one to reciprocate loving feelings. Either devotee wants to offer his respectful, worshipful feelings, or he wants to see the 200 Krishna form so that he can reciprocate in loving service with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here, Krishna says, let this be over. The sphere form has disturbed you. I don't want to give you that vision anymore. And what is the purpose why Krishna showed the universal form? Because Arjuna did not want to fight the battle. He thought he will kill Bhishma and Drona and all these people. He didn't want to fight, but Krishna wanted to show him the form to say that Bhishma, Drona, all these people are already getting into the mouth. So Arjuna, nimitta matram, just pick up the bow, but I have already killed them. Just be an instrument in my hands and you get all the yasha, all the fame for having done something, but actually I am doing it for you. But now that it is shown, this was shown to Arjuna as being a devotee, and because he is always peaceful and cannot perform such horrible action. So he wanted to tell him that, listen, don't think that you are killing. I have already finished them. You just fight the battle and do your activity. And why are devotees not interested in the universal form? I think I started off with saying that also. Many people believe Vishwarupa form is the ultimate. But Krishna says it is not ultimate. And devotees do not think it is ultimate. Why? The devotee wants to offer, want to pray to the Lord in a form that they can reciprocate. When Arjuna saw the form, he is afraid. You want to see the form? You want to go to a gory movie and see, my wife, when she has a picture that is seen or some movie that has got snakes, she'll immediately switch it off. Why do you want to get into a gory form and then suffer and be worried about it? So devotees are not interested. Also because they want to reciprocate in a loving way. The universal form does not allow devotees to reciprocate loving feelings that we have. Now, we don't want to fear Krishna. We want to actually love Krishna. And so, reciprocate and loving service to Supreme Personality of Godhead in the two-arm form is very, very important. And that is what leading up to the next. I don't think we have too much time. Let's cover 50 to 55 in the next class. Any comments? Any comments? Any questions? A lot of philosophical points that came about.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, like this Vishwarupa form, Prabhu, actually before we used to have that in our house, Prabhu, because my husband aunt gave him, because she was feeling something she can't do the worship to him, and she has given the calendar to my husband. So now I have removed that, Prabhu. Whether we can keep that or what, Prabhu?
You can keep it as long as you understand what that form is. There's no problem.
Okay.
Just that in that form you can't perform loving relationship, because by seeing
Yes.
that form you're only going to get afraid.
Yes,
That's all.
Prabhu.
But
Okay.
that is why generally you don't need to keep that form for a main worship.
Okay.
Basically, it's a form that you need to understand. It is one expansion of Krishna. There's no harm in keeping it in the altar. But
Oh,
the worshipable form, we want to liaise with Krishna. We want to communicate with Krishna. Build a loving relationship with Krishna. That is all.
I just remove that one, Prabhu, because main
problem.
Radha Madhav and that is there. That I have removed and just
Focus
I kept.
on one set of deities, perfectly fine.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other comments, questions? Today is also a very special day, Vasanta Panchami. It's also considered sometimes as the appearance day of Saraswati. Krishna also did the Sharadiya, one of the, you have a Maharas and you have another Ras. He celebrated another Rasa Leela on this particular occasion. And Vasanta Panchami Masanam Margashirshomi, Margashirshoshmi, and he says, Rutunam Kusumakaraha. Out of the Rutus, I'm Kusumakara. This month is very special, and this particular season, beginning of the season, is also very special. And therefore, Vasanta Panchami is celebrated by people all over in various ways. And everything is attached to these seasons. And so Krishna says, I'm this season and there's a beginning of that season. Anyway, so today is a special day from that particular angle. And also next week, I think today is the 5th, the 12th. We will have a session on the 12th. I will not want to miss it on any occasion. That will be the last session for the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And then we will have one session that will possibly get, I think, as I was mentioning to you, on the importance of chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. One is to read Bhagavad Gita and understand. One is to understand Bhagavatam. One is to know the importance of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then the subsidiary activities. But chanting is a very, very important activity to be done. So one session, I will possibly plan it out in such a way that we have a full session on how we chant a few rounds. And we talk about the aparadas and how we should chant, how we should not chant, what should be the consciousness, when to chant. We'll just focus one on chanting. Maybe at that session, by then, wherever you are, make sure that you have access to a japamala of your own. And we will try and see how to encourage every one of you to chant the names of the Lord in a nice mood, in a nice way. And we all have to do that because that is the ultimate form of worship of the Lord. So, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Very happy to see Anuj back while he's in India. Thank you, Anuj, for coming along.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sorry for missing all the classes.
That's it.
Hope to be regular from now on. Things are falling in place. Today on Vasant Panchami, we fixed our home. We signed the deal. So
Very
it was very blessed one today.
Very
And tomorrow
nice.
we plan to go to Vrindavan and get
Very
blessings
nice.
there. Hare
Very
Krishna.
nice. All the best for everything. And anybody who misses a particular section, I think I'm posting it on the YouTube. You're
Yes.
most welcome to get in there and just catch up with it. The advantage of YouTube is sometimes you can go on a little fast pace, but I'm already a fast talker. There are some who will speak slow, so you can do a 1.25 or 1.5. I don't know whether if you make it fast, whether you can hear it. But yes, at least there is record for those who miss sessions. So, yep, noted. Thank you, Anuji. All the best.
Thank you for the class.
Any
Hare
other
Krishna.
comments from anybody else before we close? Thank you very much. Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Geetam Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva Eko Mantraha Tasya Namani Yani Karmapi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Saka Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranataklesha Nashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Katyayini Mahamayi Mahayogini Nidishwari Nanda Gopa Sutam Devi Patin Me Kurute Namaha Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Dasoham Krishna Tabasmi Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you very, very much. I can stay for a little longer if any of you want any questions. But otherwise, we have closed the class today.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Umesh.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for the wonderful class.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Komala, and the whole family. I hope your husband's health is okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Now he is much better.
I'm fine, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You had somebody who was going through some operation, right? Oh, no. So you had a friend who
Yes.
lost.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. How is she?
Now today they operated her eyes, Prabhuji. And he lost one daughter, elder daughter. Younger daughter actually on coma, actually, you can say.
Oh.
She's not in coma.
But only right now she's getting one right hand side conscious, like, she's able to lift her one hand and one leg, one eye. But left hand side, she's not able to.
As a family of 2 plus 2.
Yeah.
And everybody safe generally?
No,
Younger daughter, she died on the spot, Prabhu.
An accident spot.
Elder daughter and Mataji, Radhika Mataji,